The Garage King, give me a break.
This video will show you how to change the coolant in your U.S. market Ford C-Max. The C-Max owner's manual says to change the coolant at 100,000 miles and then every 50,000 miles thereafter. So here we are at 150,000 miles on our 2013 C-Max. There are two separate cooling systems and this video covers both. Remove the filler cap from the inverter coolant reservoir and the engine coolant reservoir. And then lift the car high enough so you can crawl underneath the front of it. Grab a T30 Torx socket and then remove the 8 Torx screws which hold the engine fairing in place. This illustration shows the location of the 8 screws. To help you get oriented, find the oil filter. Next, move to the left and find the clamp which holds the inverter coolant hose. Loosen the clamp and slide it down the hose, and then pull the hose away from the plastic housing. You'll obviously want to have a large drain pan to catch the old coolant that is going to pour out all over the place. Next, loosen the clamp which holds the engine coolant hose in place. Notice it is located right next to the oil filter. Use a plastic pry tool to loosen the coolant hose from the aluminum housing. If you use a metal tool to loosen the hose, you're going to scratch the aluminum housing and you're going to create coolant leaks, creating problems down the road. So find something plastic or composite that will get the job done. Ford has tried to make coolant selection confusing, but this video should help you clear it all up. In short, the VC-13G yellow coolant is an approved replacement for the original orange coolant, which is no longer available. Ford put out this memo, which indicates yellow coolant is approved for vehicles which previously used the orange stuff. There are a couple of Ford specification numbers which try to throw you off, but I'll clear it up for you right here. The old orange stuff is the M97B44-D specification, and the new yellow stuff is the M97B57-A specification. Reconnect the coolant hoses and secure the hose clamps. Work it. Reinstall the 8 T30 Torx screws. And lower the car back down. Remove the 2 bolts that hold down the inverter coolant reservoir. This is going to allow tilting of the reservoir during the fill process. You'll see what I mean in a moment. The bolt towards the back is the pain, but you'll get it out. Fill the reservoir with the yellow coolant, which is actually green in color. And you'll need to add coolant, tilt the reservoir, add some more coolant, tilt the reservoir, and keep repeating until you get it filled up to that max fill line. Jump in the car, press on the brake pedal, and then press the start button to start the car in EV mode. This is going to activate the electric inverter coolant pump. And go back to your reservoir, add coolant as needed. Do the add, tilt, check, add, tilt, fill process until you've got it back up to the max line on the reservoir. Now move over to the Engine coolant reservoir, filling that tank until once again it reaches the max line on the reservoir. Since the yellow coolant is concentrated, it will need to be mixed at a 50-50 ratio with distilled water. Don't forget to install the 2 inverter screws and then go for a quick drive in gasoline mode to get the engine warmed up enough to cycle coolant throughout the engine. Once you arrive back home, let the car cool off for about an hour, then go back, check the coolant levels, top off as needed. You should be good to go for another 50,000 miles, but be mindful to check the coolant levels every few months, putting a splash in to make sure that the reservoirs are kept up to that max fill line.